I wanna try and take in all the highs, embrace them for more than a moment's time. I want you, please don't move when I push you away. I know I contradict myself some days, but will you ride the lows with me?
Welcome to Mental Health News Radio. I am your host, Kristin Sunanta Walker. Our goal is to help discussions about mental health be a regular part of your daily life, no different than discussions about physical health. Mental illness can be a topic of discussion under the umbrella of mental health, along with so many other topics. This show is the original program on mentalhealthnewsradionetwork.com. Our network of shows are played in over 180 countries and cover more topics under that umbrella than you can possibly imagine. We were talking about mental health long before it became cool and popular to talk about, and thank goodness it has become so popular. We have incredible guests, advocates, patients, experts, people. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy our intro music, a song named Lows, written by Aubrey Toon. You can find her music at www.aubreytoone.com.
That night when I started praying, I cried, will you ride the lows with me? Will you ride the lows with me? When I'm down, my vision gets blurry.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. Gaile, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be with you today.
So we know a little snippet about you, but tell us about your foundation, about the work that you're doing. Give us the whole banana or the whole enchilada.
The ABCs of me.
Exactly.
Well, my name's Gaile Valcho, and my husband Matt and I are the founders of the Brady Valcho Autism Foundation, named after our one and only son, Brady. He's 16 years old. He is autistic. And we live right outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. We moved here in 2016 from South Florida. And at the time when we moved here, of course, Brady was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2.5. And we, like most other special needs parents, curated a fantastic team down in South Florida that we've had for many years. Brady was about 7 when we moved here. And when my husband announced that, he wanted to move up to Raleigh and sort of, he could take an early retirement from his job, I almost fell over. You can't take this team away from me.
Yeah.
Right. Sort of, put these people in place, and we had all of these amazing resources. But then I like to move around, so I'm not afraid of exploring new places. So we did, and we built a home up here in Raleigh, and I went on the hunt, as most parents would, searching for schools and things. And North Carolina has amazing universities, Duke and UNC, that has a lot of wonderful autism programs. So I felt pretty confident in the resources I was going to find. But when we did actually move here and get here, boy, were we really struggling finding some of those social skills programs and recreational programs. At that time, 7-8 years ago, just wasn't as popular as they are now. Therapies had really, really long wait lists. And when we got here, I was really having a hard time, getting all of those resources for my son.
Mm-hmm.
So I met some of our local police officers at the Holly Springs Police Department in a running club that I joined. And I was telling them about the trouble we were having finding these resources. And also at that time, Brady was also experiencing some very, very challenging behavior issues. And I was asking some of the officers also about the training that they were getting, dealing with kids like mine. Brady was eloping out of the house. Lucky for me, I was a runner and I was able to dash right out
Sprint,
after.
yes.
Exactly. It was a sort of like wintertime and he was running out without shoes and without a coat. And, it was woodsy where we were. And I was getting afraid that, what if I was perhaps taking a shower and he was running out of the house and I wasn't aware of this. So I wanted to know all about the training the police were getting. Where was I going to get these resources? So the first thing we did, my husband and I, was we went to the chief at the time at the Holly Springs Police Station and came up with this idea of hosting a Autism Acceptance Day event. And they really went for the idea. They kind of wanted to break into the autism community in our area and do something with our families, but they weren't quite sure what to do.
Right.
So they loved my idea about having this community event and inviting some therapy providers and some recreational programs, the ones I could find. We only had 10 booths on that very first one that we had back in 2017. And we had a food truck and we had a person donate their DJ services. And we just held this event. And all of these families started coming. It was like a field of dreams,
Wow. That's
They just
amazing.
parked their cars and they were coming with their kids. And
how did you get the word out? Like, how did you spread the word about the event so that all these people you didn't even know or that you didn't even know would even come? How did they find out about it?
Just the old-fashioned way, flyers.
Nice.
Printing up flyers and posting them through on storefronts and, hey, can we put your flyer in your store? Yeah, sure. And word of mouth, Facebook,
Wow.
the mom groups that I was in, tell anybody and everybody this is happening. And, we really had an amazing day. The fire department was there with the fire truck. The kids just loved it. The parents loved it. Like I said, we only had 10 booths at that very first one. And this November 9th will be our ninth one that we're going to have.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And we're up to almost 30 booths of, different therapy places and recreational organizations. The Autism Society of North Carolina comes. We have schools, we have summer camps. Arc of the Triangle comes. They're called now Triangle Autism and Disability Services. And it's just for the entire community, whether your kid's on the spectrum or not. It's just an amazing fun day. We have some really great food trucks. We get a DJ. Kids are dancing. We get superheroes. There's a magician who comes and donates an hour of doing magic. And also the most important part too is that the families get to know our first responders and our law enforcement, and
That's such a good idea.
gets to know our
Such a good
families.
idea. Yeah. I mean, my gosh, because you already go into that situation feeling unsafe, stigmatized, all those things. So to just sort of put a face to that's the police officer, this is the EMT, this is the fireman, that is such a great idea.
Yeah, right before we put the first event together, like I said, when Brady was having those really challenging behaviors, when the first winter we moved here, and I met these police officers, he did go into crisis situation. And we wound up having to call the police department because we could not transport him to the hospital, the emergency room where he needed to go safely. and I needed some help. And the police officer came, and he was the crisis intervention officer. And as much as he wanted to help, he just said, I really don't know what to do here.
Mm.
So, and also the EMT guys came, and, they looked at me and they said, we don't really think this is an emergency. And I said, well, it is an emergency. It's an emergency to me and my husband, and also our son.
Yeah, your
So,
child. Yeah.
just because someone may not be bleeding or having some sort of, different medical emergency, he was rolling around on the ground and not being able to regulate himself to where we couldn't transport him appropriately or safely in a car, to the 45 minutes up to the hospital.
Right.
So we wound up having to wait till he, exhausted himself and fell asleep to get him there to the hospital. So, these are things that are important for our first responders to know about our children and how to help these parents in these types of situations. So, all of this led us to do this event. We hold it, at the Holly Springs Police Department at their facility every year.
Mm.
They host it for us. So we're making that bridge between the autism community and the law enforcement community and the fire department and the EMT first responders. Like our families can get to know one another, they get to know our families and our children, they get to see them in uniforms, and hey, maybe it's not so scary. These are how our children behave. These are the sensory issues that they have, and talk to one another. Also at our event, the families can go in and they can get an ID card made for their child. They can be put into the system if they want to, where, Joey Smith is, autistic. And
Right.
if he is an eloper, then he's flagged. If that family has to call their police station in Wake County, and hey, maybe he likes the certain park or a certain pond, and that's where we're
What
going to
worked last time with him, if there
exactly.
was a last time, all of those amazing things. Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah. So then during COVID, we decided we really need to become a nonprofit because we wanted to do more. We wanted to provide some scholarships to some summer camps that are offered through different organizations. A couple through the Autism Society has a really great one. And, we wanted to help some families who might be struggling and really wanted to get their kids out to, some of these fantastic summer camps during the summer or during the year, just weren't able to. So we've been providing at least 2 kids to a summer camp each year.
It's amazing. And that, I mean, I want everybody to just kind of think about how vital that is. I remember every summer camp I went to. The kids remember this. I remember the awful ones and I remember the rare great ones. So if you can even, get a scholarship and do one camp for your child of this kind of an event, this camp will be so great. They'll remember that their entire life. They will pick up skills from what they learned at that camp their entire life.
Yes, it's so true. And, not only for the child to go, but to have that break for the parents and the caregivers. That is so
Oh
needed.
my gosh, I didn't even think about that. Oh my, to not like how long, let's get to practical things just for a second. So after he left the house, was it like the quietest house you've ever been in your life?
Yes. So Brady went to camp the first time to a sleepaway camp out in North Carolina, like the North Carolina, like South Carolina border. And I didn't know what to do with myself. Like I was like a
Exactly.
little lost for a little bit,
Yep.
but my husband and I did manage to have like a little bit of a weekend out in Asheville when we dropped him off. And
Wow.
and then it was like, wow, this is kind of fun. you know?
Yeah, you forget. You're a mom, you're a dad. You forget, like, this is for your kid. It's not about you. It's about them. And you just are
Yeah.
in that mode, especially if you have a child with health needs, right? So
Yeah.
you totally forget because that's just you. You just give. It's when you're out and you're not having to wear that hat in your face all, for in that moment that you're like, oh, I forgot about these other things
Yeah.
that are so fun.
We were a couple once.
Yeah,
We did
exactly.
used
We
to go
did go
on
to
dates,
dinner without
right?
scoping out the place for the best time and where could we get a seat in the corner and did it. Like we just went in and sat in the middle of the restaurant. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, exactly. And spoke, to each other.
Exactly.
It was amazing.
Oh, that's so funny.
In a very selfishy way, but also knowing that Brady was having the time of his
Oh
life.
yeah, he didn't care at
He didn't think
all.
of us
He was
for a
like,
second.
he was doing the same thing. Oh, my mom is not hovering. My dad's not hovering. I'm doing all these things. Wow. It's good for
As it
everybody.
should be,
Exactly.
this is how life should be, right? And we forget about that because the other 360 days of the year, we're all on top of one another.
Right. You're all on high alert all the time.
High
Yeah.
alert, complete high alert. And wow, and taking that, like, even if it's just a weekend, to have like a breath
Oh, it's so nice.
and sometimes you don't even know you don't even have to go anywhere. You could just do that in your house. And
Right.
wow, we could order a pizza and just sit here and like watch some Netflix.
I
And
know.
that's even nice, but so it was super important. And oh my gosh, the amazing little postcards that we've got from the children that we have sent. I
Oh,
can't even like look at it and not cry.
I'd be like,
I can't. It's like
I would be destroyed. I
it's
mean, just thinking about it, I've got like little
completely.
tears in the corner of
Exactly.
my
I
eyes.
could
Oh,
tear up right now. I'm thinking of one boy in particular about the things he's done and what he's learned. It's hanging in the back, like on my little calendar in our kitchen. And I just pass by it every day and I'm like, we did that. We said, we have to keep doing more. So yes, this is how we fundraise very hard. So we can keep doing these things for these children and these families. And
yeah.
this is our reason. This is our complete reason.
So were you familiar with anything to do with autism or even just neurodivergence before Brady got diagnosed?
No, nothing. Sitting there, pregnant, Brady was born in 2007. Autism was kind of coming out into the more mainstream at that
Mhm.
time. There was some celebrities that were, talking about their children. And so I was like hearing some of that, like on talk shows, and there were some books being, written. And I kept thinking, like, to myself, oh gosh, I hope we don't wind up with that,
Right.
to myself,
Right.
because I didn't know, but I didn't know like what it was, you know what I mean? And some of these folks were just making it sound like this was the most horrible thing
Right.
and it was detrimental to all of us, and I didn't know how we were going to cope with this and all of everything, but I wasn't really putting a whole lot of thought into it, so and then he developed, I mean, like pretty much any other baby he developed, but then there was some signs as he was getting close to that 2-year age mark, where we saw him not speaking, not picking up some of those milestones,
Mm.
pointing, not engaging. But we just had Brady. We didn't have any other children. But compared to my nieces and nephews, I just had some feelings. And then we put him in a little preschool part-time at the age of 2, and I would volunteer in the class. There was 10 kids in there. I would come home and I would tell Matt, he just seems like he's not doing some of the things that the other kids are doing. So that led us to do some evaluations, and we took him to a pediatric developmental doctor, 2.5, and she saw it immediately. So
So interesting. Yeah, that is so interesting how that gets picked up. And I realize now, and of all the shows that I've done on all these different mental health topics, trauma of any kind, early childhood trauma, can mask a lot of symptoms. So that you attribute what's going on with your child to trauma. You guys didn't have that, so you could say, okay, we notice that there's something going on here. I know with a lot of parents, me included, for myself and also my child, everything was explained by, different kinds of trauma. I thought, oh, we're getting divorced and it's a stressful situation for my 5-year-old. That's why he's behaving this way. And, now I realize, oh, that did not explain away what was going on.
yeah,
So,
and that's not a crazy leap, right? To make
right.
that, presumption
Exactly.
of that,
Exactly.
because children do exhibit behaviors when, difficult things are going on in the home.
Well, like people don't think about how much planning that you have to do, like for your move. Like you guys had all this in your head of just the moving, but then also it's going to show up some way later in your child, either right away or even months or a long time later because of what they're dealing with,
Yes.
with a move. So it's like, and you go into those life situations that any other family maybe would be like, oh yeah, we bought this new house, we're moving. And you're like, we're excited, but then we also
Caution.
have to be careful because it's going to show up here later as something
Yeah.
stressful, as it did for you guys. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It's a tough place to live,
it
right?
is
Um,
very,
everything you do as special needs parents, particularly with
it's
children.
harder, right? Like
Yes.
it's
Yes.
just harder.
Yes. It's harder. Not impossible.
Right, not
Um,
impossible, but
not
harder. And
impossible
that's
because we
why,
do it.
yeah, I think when people say, I want to put this out there, you and I talked about it a little bit, but the piece that when we talked last time, but the piece that always kind of gets me is, and I understand where it comes from, but I wanted to get your opinion on it too, is when people will go, oh, but every child does that. Oh, but that's not autism. Like, what do you say? Because I get that. And I'll be like, okay. So what do you say
Yeah.
to
Want to come over?
people?
Want to come over one night?
Right.
And see it for yourself. Yes. And boy, have I heard
You
that.
heard it all. Yeah.
I mean, if I had $1 for every time I've heard that, you and I would be
Very
in a
wealthy.
mansion.
We'd have a foundation for the planet. Okay.
Exactly.
If we
Exactly.
were paid every time we saw
Yeah.
someone said, but that's every person does that.
Yes.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you for your input.
Yeah. Yeah. And move along. Right. It's
Right.
just, chalk it up to who's saying it. And, I don't take a whole lot of stock in that anymore. It used to really upset me when Brady was younger and you're kind of new on this journey. But as I've kind of gone through this, for a while now, I've had this kid for a while,
Yeah.
you learn a lot, and you just have to keep your eye on the prize, and he's the prize, right? And
Yes.
his life, and where he needs to go is the prize. So, yes, there's well-meaning people that don't know what they don't know. So I offer like a book. Have you read such and such? Perhaps. Oh no. Well, okay, maybe you want to or not. you
Right.
you know maybe some education might do you some good. They don't have the lived experiences that we have.
Exactly. Exactly.
So don't lose sleep over what they're saying.
Yeah, it'll bother you for new parents, going through this now. I'd like to say, listen, we get it. like Gaile and I totally get it, and it will bother you, and some things will bother you more than others, and it's always good to examine why. There could be a nugget of gold in there for you. Not anything bad against you, but just, oh, okay, that's why this particular jab that maybe somebody didn't mean as a jab, but it sure felt like it. So why did that one bother me more? Not as a you're wrong or there's something you need to just to notice what that's about. It'll help you move through it, but it is so okay to be completely aghast and horrified and upset about these things that come at you. It's totally okay to do that. And then as more of them happen, or as you learn how to handle them differently, it'll start to bother you less as you move through it. But I want to honor that it's going to happen and it's going to suck, you know?
And it will hurt. And I have ugly cried in the closet more times than you know, over like, okay, to me, you know, how could they compare my son to theirs? It's so, you know, incomprehensible to, you know, to me. But people will, and it'll come from the people probably that you love the most sometimes. Or friends that are like really great, you know, and so, and it's okay, like you said. You'll get over it, and, you know, use it
as fuel.
Exactly. Buy them a book and give it to them. See if they're open-minded enough and, you know, adult enough to read it and take it. Give them the language of what to say. You know, what you said to me really bothered me, but here's how you can help me and my child.
Right.
You know, offer that. Maybe people just don't know what they don't know.
Yeah,
they kind of trip over themselves and trying to help, but
it brings out their own like stuff that I know. I have my own ableism that I run into. Boy, do I notice it more now that I've been diagnosed than I did before. So I think taking some responsibility for where it lives within yourself first is a great idea, because everybody has hidden stuff that we just don't know, and it comes out in what we say in difficult situations, or where we're scared, or we just don't know something. So taking responsibility for your own is great. And then also, like you said, I do the same thing. I just had a neighbor say something very ableist to me, and I was like, ooh, okay, that one could sting, but I'm not going to let it zing. And I went and got a book like you talked about, and I left it on their doorstep with a nice little note that said, I love our chats. I just wanted to, you know, help you on your journey of understanding more about autism, and have a great day. When I really wanted to go, listen.
Right. But you know, they're not going to be receptive to that.
Exactly.
So, and then it's okay to, like, maybe that person doesn't have that big of a role in your life.
Right.
Then. And I've lost people too. And believe it or not, you know, my kid wasn't invited to all the birthday parties because, you know, he just couldn't handle it. But the friends that I keep my circle tight, and I keep my tribe small, of the people who get us. And those are the people that I love, who love my son for who he is, and I love their children for who they are.
Yep.
And those are the people that come and go in our lives all the time. You know, they're in our house, they're in our life forever, they're in my child's life.
They're your family. Yeah.
Exactly. And I, you know, appreciate that even more. I don't need 100 people in our life. Like,
yeah, my circle has gone from this huge thing, and listeners, I'm making my arms so big, like I had all these friends, and then during COVID, I went, you know what? It's too much. It's too loud. It's too much. And I got down to basics, and I am happy with the basics. And people like you, like, I feel like we could be totally friends, but it's exactly, it's a situation where if something, it's so important to have those people where if something happens where you know that you went to your own red zone, you got your feelings hurt in one of the situations we're talking about, and you know what not to do, how not to respond, but you just need to cry to somebody that all they're going to give you is their ear. And I'm so sorry. Oh,
Yes.
those people are gold
They're
in your
goals.
life.
And I have a couple of girls who I have them. And I'm so fortunate that two are my neighbors.
Yes. Oh, that's
From across the
amazing.
street. Totally amazing. Totally amazing. And one is like, a super best friend who lives here, and a couple like live out of state, that I don't even need to talk to them all the time, but that I can. Who, love me, love my husband, love my son, and so I'm very appreciative of that, and, I got my brothers, my sister-in-laws. And so, yeah,
It helps because
we don't
you
need
need
other
the
people.
support
Yeah.
too. Yeah, you need the
Yeah,
support and
absolutely.
to have your cries. Sometimes they're in a closet by yourself, and sometimes like I just did it the other night. I called one of my friends that I can be 100% myself with. I mean, where I don't have to watch anything that I say. I have a handful of those kind of friends, and she just listened and was like, "This too shall pass, but I honor that you feel bad about this, and you're right to feel bad about it. But I also know that tomorrow you're going to feel a little better, and the next day you're going to feel a little
Yes.
better, a little
And
better, a little
and
better."
that's what I'm hoping for Brady. And
Yeah,
as he's going into 11th grade this semester, we're so proud of him. He had such a great semester at school. And
good.
his honors chemistry class, he has curated for himself this little group of friends in there.
Yay!
And today's his final, and I'm so happy to say that he's going to lunch with this little group of friends after their final today to a
Sweet.
local pizza place. And he's driving with them. I'm letting him go and giving him more of that independence. Well, when I told him that, his face lit up. And I said, no, I don't need to drive you. You can go with the kids and just have them drop you off home. Just text me when you get there. And, he's been in this group chat with them, and, he's really engaged in this class. And the teacher said how wonderful the semester was. And he's one of the younger kids in the class, they're
That's
juniors
so
and
great.
seniors already. And they've really embraced him and gotten to know him and accepted him. And, there's been moments in the class where, he's had some sensory problems and stuff, but in spite of all of it, they're there every day, cheering him on. And they've got this nice little group now. And I'm just so proud of him, so that
I
he's done.
always, yeah, it's so amazing.
And I had
I
nothing to do with it. I wasn't there. I don't know
Oh
who
my
these people
gosh,
are. I
please. You had
wasn't there
nothing.
coaching him. He did
No.
it all on his own,
It's
and
all the
it's
things that
sweet.
he sees and witnesses at home that is make up who he is. So yeah, I know you guys, you're selfless. So you'll never take credit for anything. And I get it totally. And I also know the words behind the words you're saying. He learned all of, 99% of this stuff and how to have this moment happen. There's a lot of groundwork being done by you and your husband.
Absolutely. And I tell my families, that I support in our foundation and in the work I do, that take them to all the things,
Yeah.
expose them, no matter what their level of autism is. Whether they need a lot of supports or, lesser supports, it doesn't matter. Is every day going to be successful? No.
Right.
Are they going to be big fat fails? Yes. Were we kicked out of karate and other things? Totally.
Exactly.
Did I argue with the lady in the parking lot because she was kicking us out of karate? Yes. But, did I go to Target only to, turn right back around in the parking lot because, my son couldn't handle it at that moment? And then, well, okay, not going to Target.
Yeah, you learn how to pivot real quick, don't you?
Yeah. Did I leave a shopping cart full of food because we just couldn't get to the checkout?
Yes.
And it's like any given Sunday almost, but you have got to keep trying and trying. I know it's easy to like live in the house, and yeah, and there was like some times when I felt like we were doing more of that because it was easier and it's safer, but it wasn't teaching him things, exposing him to the outside world, because eventually that's where he's going to live. I'm not going to live forever, and neither is my husband. And there's nobody coming behind us to say, watch your brother forever. It's not happening. We want him to make it and have the life that he wants to have for himself, which is to have friends, to have a person to love, to go on to higher education, further employment, independent living,
Right.
all the things that, IDEA has for our kids. And we want that for him. Whatever he wants for himself, we want to help him get him there, and support him in whatever that means. Does it mean that he stays here with us a little longer or
Right.
whatever he needs? Yes. Does he need to live down the street? Yes. Whatever that looks like for your child, that's what you make, and it's going to look different for every kid. But
Absolutely.
taking him to the things, even if you only last 10 minutes, it's okay. Maybe next time it'll be 10 more minutes, and then it'll be an hour, and then you'll get to keep going. Brady started an ice hockey team, on an ice hockey team. Ice hockey for a kid who was born in Florida. And I said, when he came up with I was like, ice hockey? You want to start ice hockey? Like actual hockey. This was the most,
Is this
you
like
know,
a sort of a surfboard thing, a
yeah. And
longboard? Like,
he's
what
like,
is
yeah.
this?
And he
We're in
started
Florida.
playing. Yeah. And I know this is here, North Carolina, they have a special needs hockey organization. They started with a ball hockey indoor.
So
And
cool.
he started playing that in the summer, just learning some things with a stick and a ball. And then they said, we have ice hockey that he can play. And he said, yeah, I want to start playing. And he's 6'2", by the way. So
Whoa.
he looks like the biggest
Does every
defenseman.
player just sort of move part like the Red Sea to let him just go?
He's huge out there, because there's little kids out there. And then there's giant Brady, who my brother always says he looks like a defenseman for the Rangers out there. And it's completely free. They provide all of the equipment. We just bought a
Wow.
helmet. And every Sunday we've been taking them to the Polar Iceplex up in Raleigh. So for any of your listeners that are in the Raleigh area, it's Triangle Special Needs Hockey Association. I have to give them some love,
That's so
because my
amazing.
son looks so forward to this every Sunday, and he's skating backwards, and he's on ice skates that like Matt and I look at each other like, he's skating right now, by himself. And it's
That's
been
amazing.
exciting to watch.
Knowing that we feel things so much more deeply, so much more intensely, that's the sort of thing I want to put out there. Yes, it is maybe feels safer. And if you're exhausted, to just stay home and keep your child home. And there are times when you absolutely have to do that for your own self-care. But the thing about it is what you're saying about just even 10 minutes taking them to something, and then that it'll be longer a little bit later. The exposure to these things, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes, someone on the spectrum is going to think about that. Maybe not everyone on the spectrum. I don't like making these grand statements, but many people on the spectrum are going to that 10 minutes. Okay, here's a better way to put it. The 10 minutes for them could be someone else's hour and a half.
Absolutely. And you don't have to go to, sign your kid up for all the, special needs organizations. Like, they
Right.
don't have to keep, you can simply do a little indoor scavenger hunt. We
Right.
used to do things like that. Hey, let's make a little list, and I would hide some things in the house. Let's see if we can go find it. Let's find a tennis ball. Let's find your red fire truck. Let's find, whatever it is, and check these things off the list.
Mm.
and go on this little scavenger hunt. And then sometimes we would do it in the yard. Let's go pick up pine cones and get 5 pine cones. Maybe that's all you're going to do for that day. Let's do bubbles. Let's make a sensory bin. There are some real easy things that you and your kids can do with things from the dollar store or things that you have in your own house. Just coloring together. You can create these moments of learning, right?
Absolutely.
That they're growing and they're taking all of this in.
All of it in.
All of
Every
it,
piece of it.
every second, just engaging with them. And listen, when Brady he didn't speak until he was 4. Everything I could do just to try to engage him, back when he was 2, 3, 4, 5, was extraordinary. Buy some plastic vegetables and, let's make a breakfast for daddy and put it on a plate and make up like a restaurant game. We would just come up with the most craziest things. A path to his bedroom with plastic fruit, and vegetables. And like he would do that, and things like this, puzzles, anything that's going to get him to engage with us.
Right. Get him out of the head and into some kind of activity, even for a minute, is so
Even for a
important.
minute.
Because we live in this thing sitting on our neck, on top of our neck. And so it's a really great idea to get us to have things that connect the body to the head.
Absolutely. And when he did, we threw a parade,
Exactly.
it was like overblown, emotions, but then he realized, oh, I just did something really great right now, and he
Right.
got that intrinsic, good feeling about himself. And then he wanted more, he bought into it. Right.
Yep.
And I'm buying into it and he's buying into it. And I never had conversations with my child. Right. It's only been like now I'm having some conversations where he's getting that more expressive language, hey mom, you want to hear about this that happened today? Yes, I totally want to hear.
I really do.
All
Yes.
of it. I'm hanging on every word. Right.
Exactly. So what does he think about, this is just part of his life, going to these events that you guys put on and stuff, but what does he think about it now that he has the vocal language piece, where it's at today? So what does he tell you about all this stuff, if he says anything?
He says a little bit, he goes to his IEP meetings now, and he says that for his future, he still wants to keep the foundation going.
And not only did you do all this, which helps so many other kids, you taught your kid how important it is to be an advocate for other people. Every child, wherever they're at, spectrum or not, needs to be taught volunteering is a great thing.
Yeah. And we do other things too, not just autistic things. Every Thanksgiving, we go to the Raleigh mission, and we put together, along with many other people, like 700 Thanksgiving dinners. He looks forward to that. Mom, are we doing that again this, 2 nights before Thanksgiving? Yes, we'll be packing Thanksgiving dinners up for all the inbound people and homeless people, medically fragile people that don't have a nice Thanksgiving dinner like you have or I have. And he looks forward to it, and he's out standing there at the table, putting mashed potatoes on a plate, and passes it to me. I put turkey on, I pass it to my husband, and down the assembly line, and it's a 2-hour thing that we do. And we do that together as a family. And he's doing many, many other volunteer things, putting lunches together where we served at the Raleigh mission, because that's important, that there's other folks out there who are struggling in other ways
than you. Yes, exactly.
It's important to give back. It makes you feel good. It makes us feel good as a family to do it. And I want him to do that for his life, and have the foundation and do other things in other arenas so that, he can share that with his friends and his future family if he has one, um, so that, he can keep this work going.
I love this. And I want to ask you my final question, and I definitely hope that you'll come on again and again, but I want to ask you this one last one for today. How do you maintain your altruism in today's world?
It's easy to get discouraged, to feel overwhelmed by the world and society.
Yeah.
I try to parse out my amount of news that I
Yes.
listen to. But I just keep on focusing on the good work that I do and the feedback that I get from the families that I'm working with. Some of the parents that I work at with the Hand Center for Autism, which is the ABA clinics that I work with. I'll get some emails once in a while, and a mom will say, "You've empowered me." They're new to their autistic journey with their children, but you've helped me get ready for an IEP meeting, or I feel empowered talking to you. I feel like I can do this now. They're just getting their diagnosis, right? Their kiddos
Right.
are
They're at the very beginning of
at the
this
really beginning
journey.
stages, but
Yeah.
listening to you, who's got a kid who's 16, and I'm saying, you can do this. Is it going to be hard? Yes. Probably the hardest thing you're ever going to do,
Yeah.
most likely, or one of them. But you can do this and just keep your eye on the prize, which is your child, and keep your expectations up there. Your kids will astound you in ways that you've never expect. My son had it.
Exactly.
And
And focus on your own. Oh, there goes my dogs. Hold on. What? Sorry, Joe, you'll have to edit this out. Jack. You can see him. He's like, but I have to. Anyway, okay. So I'll say this last part, and then I'll do the the tell us where your website is, that kind of thing. Jack, please, like 5 minutes, honey. Okay, here we go. I could remember what I was going to say. Oh, yeah. So the last thing that I'll say on this is don't forget to practice your own self-care.
yes,
Because if
that's
you
so
got
important.
nothing because you're giving it all to your child, you're actually doing a disservice to both you and your child. You've got to do things also for yourself. Otherwise, you won't have the energy to keep doing all the things that you need to do.
Yeah, I mean, just like our computer and phone need to be plugged in every night, you need to recharge yourself. And I don't feel selfish about that.
Yeah. Yeah. You're a
My husband
runner.
and
Yeah.
son know that when mom's in her bedroom and the doors are kind of shutish,
Yeah.
that's
Leave
my
mom
me time.
alone.
Yeah, leave mom alone. I need to rest. I need my rest. I need some headspace. I need a mental break. And Brady might come in and mom, and I'm like, you have another parent. Around. He's 6'3" and bald, goes by the name of dad. You can ask him. Okay. So, we need to like do this for ourselves, moms especially. We're out there juggling all of it, a lot of it. And dads too, though,
Yeah, absolutely. Both of you
they
need
need it
to.
for themselves. We all need it. Um, but and I'm lucky that Brady, I'm creating life skills for him and independence. You can make your own sandwich today. You know how to do
Right.
this. You
Right.
can do this. He needs a little pep talk, but that's okay. I'm resting now. I'm here to guide.
Right. I
But
love
yes,
it.
it's very important.
tell our listeners where they can find out everything to do with what you're doing.
So they can go to our website. It's www.bva.foundation, and you will find all about the Brady Valcho Autism Foundation, how to get a free law enforcement presentation for a police station or fire department in your community, especially if you live in the Wake County, Durham, Raleigh area. We would be happy to come and provide that. We've also have sensory toolkits filled with fidgets and a communication board. We've donated 300 of these. So if your business or mental health facility or hospital or school or police department would like these, we would be more than happy to come and donate bags to you. You can find all of that on our website. And where I work is the Hand Center for Autism, and that is thehandcenter.com. And that is a 4-clinic ABA center in the Raleigh area. We service like the whole triangle area, basically. So I am the parent support person for all of our families in our 4 clinics. And I love my job. I love what I do. I love helping our families in our area here in Wake County and the surrounding areas. So,
well, I love what you do too. Not that that's like the big all important thing, but it's amazing what you're doing. I'm so grateful. I think, was it Dr. Stephanie Holmes that referred you over my way?
yes, I think so.
And she's amazing. Yes, I've said that on so many shows, but yes. Oh, well, I'm so glad that we are in each other's lives now. I'm so in awe of your level of altruism. It's right up there with mine, I think.
And that's pretty hard to compare to.
No, it's right there.
Golly.
Yeah, I you've noticed, like, I've done so many shows about, brain chemistry and how you create new neural pathways and how your own language and the way you phrase things, like you can really tell how hard someone might be working on trying to stay positive and also see, oh, this is just where their brain goes. And you do that too. Like you just instantly, it's a habit. It is a habit that you have to create within yourself to flip to a positive, not like, oh, everything's rose colored glasses. No. That's not what I mean.
Yeah.
I see you doing it. Exactly.
We're also realists, right?
Exactly.
We're not just idealists, but we're realists. We live in the real world. So, but we're hopeful, right?
Yes.
We're hopeful. We're hopeful for our kids, for ourselves, for the generations that are going to follow us, that, we're doing great work, you and I, yes, but we know we can do better.
Exactly.
We can always do better.
Absolutely. There's more to learn. There's more to excavate. There's more things to figure out about yourself that you're like, oh, okay, I'll work on that. That particular quality of mine maybe isn't so wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, these other things are great. Yeah, exactly.
But humanity too, right?
Exactly.
As a society, we need to do better. So, I think we're just sort of scratching the surface right now, especially with autism.
Yep.
Like we got the awareness, right? I am full up of awareness.
Right.
I'm aware every moment of every day, and we've acceptance, but like, education. Right. And we need more to do with that. And
absolutely. I'm here for it with you. Yeah. Gaile, thank you so much for coming on the show.
It was my pleasure. I had a great time.
Listeners, thank you for tuning in. This is Kristin Walker for the Converge Autism Radio Show. Thank you.
But will you ride the low, low, lows with me? Will you ride the low, low, lows with me?
One thing you can always count on at Mental Health News Radio Network and my show is that there will always be dogs around. Why? They are natural healers, excellent for your mental health. The original therapy dog Miles has something to say in just a moment. For now, please check out all of our amazing shows at mentalhealthnewsradionetwork.com and all your favorite podcast apps. Until next time, I'm Kristin Walker, and thank you for listening.
And I can ride the low, low, lows with me. I can ride the low